Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for all those who are familiar with the Chris Chan subreddit, you may be familiar with the fact that there are at times some outrageous things that they put on Twitter and, well, on Reddit. It's mostly Reddit we're focusing on because there are conspiracy theories, there are theories about whether or not we really were too far in being this analytically parasocial with Chris. There are other times when people just straight up say he has got absolutely every single thing that was coming to him. But what about Chris on the website? Well, that and many more things we'll be taking a look at, so let's go. Reddit is a social news aggregation, content rating, and discussion website. Registered users can post, rate, and comment on contents in boards called subreddits. Chris created an account on the 30th of May 2016, using the username under Quickville Guardian 1982, and mostly hang out with R Planet Dolan, the subreddit of YouTube channel Planet Dolan, presumably as an effort to get closer to his then prospective Heartsweet Doopy Do-Over. He also paid for Reddit Premium, a monthly subscription which would remove all ads and give him additional privileges in the site. Currently, Chris is the moderator of R Cult of Quick, a subreddit populated by enablers and white knights who worship him. Chris has made only a handful of posts in the year since his account's creation, and stopped posting to the site in 2019. On the 13th of July 2021, Chris created another Reddit account using the username under Virtual Accutator 7381. So far, the only comment the account has made is a friend code for Pokemon Shuffle. I don't know what that is, by the way, but actually, speaking of video games, Mario Paint has been added to the Switch store. Cool. I've never played Mario Paint, but I know a lot about it. Anyway, content submitted by Chris. Chris submitted 3 questions in R Planet Dolan. None of them are on topic regarding the subreddit subject. Why do we feel great shock, heart pain upon hearing bad news? 30th of May 2016. If I was a moderator, I probably would have deleted that almost immediately, because if it hasn't got anything to do with the actual subreddit it shouldn't even be allowed to be posted. But there you are. Hey, big fan of y'all shows. I like learning. I like Shima and Melissa. Anyhow, to further explain my question with a recent event, yeah, this is absolutely from Chris. You can tell it's very, very... Chris writes exactly how he speaks. It's very, very repetitive, and it's very, very self-motivatedly. It's written under the precursor that Chris is doing it for himself and for literally no other reason, it would seem. I don't get asked out much. That too. And finding my lady sweetheart again, and eventually being married and having a family has been an ambition of mine. Chris, you've been saying that since 2006. You've probably been saying this since 1986. For the difference that makes, because you want to broaden your horizons a little bit, or try a little bit harder with what you're doing, because as I've said this before, if it's not working, Chris, and if it hasn't worked all the way since 2000 or anything like that, maybe 16 years down the line you should have maybe tried a different approach. I'm not saying, go on 90 Day Fiancé or anything like that, but anything different, Chris. Recently, I ended up informing my mother a reminder about all that, and amidst the discussion, she says to me, "On my own deathbed, I do not care whether or not you have any children at all." Take that as a cue. I guess even Barbara was getting bored of Chris going on about it. It registered to me equal to "your future children can go to hell." It's not quite what that... It hurt deep like a gunshot that pierced not only through my heart, but knocked my soul back far. I ended up crying, and I had an upset with gut pains and sweat that cleared up after the poo got out of my... Who the Chris! We don't need to know that. In other words, you shat yourself. You shat yourself again, didn't you, Chris? Either way, I am still recovering and still feeling sad about this. Also, I need more toilet paper. I want to add, and this should be a life lesson to all parents, so please be sure to tell everyone upon answering the question on your show. Parents, never ever tell your children or their children that you do not care if they never have children. Even if you meant to ease the tension, it can still very much be interpreted as your future children can go to hell, or similar. No matter what, it does hurt them, young, teen, and adult, deep. Thank you, and have a good and safe day. Now, okay, so to be fair, because we know, I was just going to say, because we know immediately that, this, you could tell almost immediately this was written by Chris immediately, but supposing you thought this was somebody who was playing a prank, suppose that you didn't 100% believe this was Chris actually behind this this account. Well, I'm pretty sure that must have oh yeah, that is definitely Chris. Also, oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, okay. I have to warn you guys because this next part is actually quite graphic. Also, this is disgusting. The next thing he says, and this. It was right about even this point in the comprehensive history where I went from really starting to dislike Chris to, Chris, you actually made me quite upset. Because if you go back and watch my parts, it's either 49, 50, or 51 where he specifically says this. But I remember actually crying because I was absolutely disgusted with Chris. Why? You're about to find out. Can males be born with a hidden vagina, minus the uterus? 3rd of July, 2016. This post is made 2 weeks before he would make the self-inflicted taint wound. He also left a link to 2 subliminal frequency hypnosis videos. Notably, Chris mistakes the pelvic ischium, the pieces of the pelvis that form part of the hip bones, the pubic bone, and associated muscles in and around the perineum, as an unbirthable vagina, providing only further insight into the horrifying trains of thought that Chris would have been undergoing and readying the knife he used on said self down the line. Hey boys, get ready to have your minds blown. As Planet Donan has said, everyone is female inside the womb until it and when the Y chromosome mutates the girl to be a boy, which, when you really think about it, with everyone being female initially, even pre-birth being manly or manliness is very much made up. Anyhow, you can try this at home in private. Push, I'm more so he's meant to say plus, may be tough into the center of your skin patch between your legs, the taint. You may find 1 or 2 grooves hidden under there. One of them, yes, is your unbirthable vagina, since the uterus would be shrunk during the Y mutation. Punchline. If every gay male knew about this, all they have to do is cut their taint and they'd have a new hole to play with. Seriously though, maybe professional surgery would be best for that business opening. Or, for the price of Wi-Fi and your YouTube viewing device, you can try opening it in as soon as 6 months, less if listened to more than, with a subliminal track. Check out this one from my favorite channel that offers it on YouTube. Or, if that title scares you, this other one might leave you your sack free. Now, before anybody says anything, yes, punchline, aka Chris almost wanted to make a joke out of this. So the joke is that if every gay male knew about this, all they have to do is cut their taint and they'd have a new hole to play with. Now I'm gonna go on a limb here, ladies and gentlemen, and just say a few things. 1, Chris is not professionally qualified. Chris should not be giving out medical advice like this. One that is at best second or third hand advice without any legal qualification or any basis that this theory is even true, or if anything Chris has said as being true whatsoever. Nobody should be using knives on themselves. I don't really feel... I thought we were old enough and mature enough to know fine well not to delve into subject matter this grotesque and graphic, but I'm just going to say it because if there's anybody out there who genuinely does not know or completely thinks differently, I'm just going to say this for absolute brevity. For myself and for you guys, because there's no way I'm paying due diligence to Chris. Nobody should be using a knife on themselves. I literally, or on other people. Do not go there. I don't care if it's even a butter knife. You shouldn't be going around spreading people to death. Neither you should you be encouraging people to do this. Because Chris specifically says gay male as though a new hole to play with. You know what? It's at times like this where sometimes I generally would, you know what? If I was gay, and I'm just going to say that, first of all, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me being gay whatsoever, but if I was, I wouldn't, curious, because here's the very strange thing, even if I was gay, I wouldn't even be that I wouldn't be offended. I would be disappointed and just sort of glad to know the fact that I would aim a little bit higher than Chris. Actually, I would aim a lot higher than Chris, because you know what? Somebody that depraved and somebody that completely insane should be they should not even be considered to be in a relationship. That's because that level of immaturity is exactly the sort of reason why Chris does what he does to himself. Just because he is under the impression that a vagina is just living under his rock. Now, the reason why I honestly consider myself a bit more offended, maybe as a heterosexual straight man, is because it's just messed up. I think that's probably why, and it's the level of objectification and the way he just sees people as just, well, as gay people is so unbelievably like as borderline nymphomaniacs, like all of them, that they would be willing to just say, "All right, well, you know what, we'll literally just be seen as 3 pairs of holes and a nice set of tits," because Chris is under the impression that's the image he gives. And I've got a lot of gay friends, by the way, and you know what? It's a good thing I don't ever introduce them into the world of Chris Chan, because honestly, it's not worth their time, and it is so beneath their dignity. That's the thing when it comes to Chris, fine well, and I know, but there is no dignity to this man whatsoever. I wouldn't even, in fact, to be honest, deep down inside, I just wanted to call Chris your stereotypical man, but no, he's just a horrid little boy. Anyway, his final post on Reddit, on the Plaid Dolan subreddit, things you do while waiting to fall asleep, 30th of September 2016. Either if you're keeping yourself awake or actually working your brain to becoming better fatigued, how about a list of the dumbest or otherwise the best things to do while waiting to fall asleep? For me, my best is, while having my eyes closed and feeling comfy, I tire my brain by figuring out words that rhyme with a randomly chosen word by choosing the word, then going through the alphabet one letter at a time to figure out as many actual rhymes for that word. An example: random, andom, Brandon, condom. Bore your brain with repeated use of... Chris, I'm bored. I'm just going over... And my obvious dumbest, playing solitaire on my phone. Obviously the light regardless is enough to fool the brain into staying awake, even with the Boeing. What an absolute waste of... What a waste of good food Chris is, eh? A reply, the first received so far, proves the existence of people even more brain dead than Chris. I search Tumblr or Instagram, maybe some Twitter before I fall asleep. Oh yeah, Tumblr. That was still a thing 10 years ago. They made me use Tumblr for 3 years when I was at university. I'm glad to say I never have to use Tumblr ever again in my life. Fuck Tumblr, I guess. A good and blessed day to you all. Oh god, there's more. 27th of August 2019. On the 27th of August 2019, role-playing as Magi-chan made an announcement in our Cult of Quick in response to being made a moderator of the subreddit. It is indeed I, Magi-chan. I am humbled to be included in as a moderator, and for the first post from myself, I would like to ask all of Christine's behalf to share your stories, from which of her past deeds has brought up this following. And in your own respective words, how has she brought light upon you? I feel it advised and well for her to read these responses for herself when she can, so please do share. Thank you. Ah, I sense it. Well, the quick senses are going off. Something is happening that woke this body and is keeping it from falling back to sleep. Yeah, it's called time to get up, Chris. We know fine well you don't work, so you may as well go back to sleep for all that matters. Ah, I sense it. The coast-to-coast storm is coming. Christine is coming into her better powers between her soul there and her body here. Also, a potential literal heavy rain pattern in the width of the... Wait a minute, was this Hurricane Harvey or something like that? This must have been a storm or something like that. When a white knight suggests... Yeah, there we are. Hurricane Dorian is a sign of the merge. Chris confirms it. Very observant and perceptive of you. Very good job. Here is a gold star for you as well. Hey Chris, is the frequent starvation of prisoners in Gaza, is that a sign of the merge as well? I hope it isn't. Quite frankly, I hope your untimely demise, Chris, is going to be a sign of the merge, because then you can go to the other side and fucking stay there. Oh, by me! Oh, bloody hell! That was a bit of a dark joke for me. Oh, that was. Oh, what is this? What going on Reddit is like? That was hard. Wow. Okay. I'm starting to learn a few things about myself today, it would seem. Comments left by Chris. Oh God. Retelling of the story of his short bus, the 11th of January 2017. In response to the post in Our Planet Dolan, what's the worst things that's happened to you on a school bus? In my freshman year of high school in 97, I was on a regular bus for a while. I used to sit at the front and to the right side of the bus, right by the bus door. I remember it was at a time after I started having to wear glasses for being nearsighted, since I was examined by my ophthalmologist doctor, who is also my half-brother, and got my glasses on the same day in 97, Groundhog Day, February 2nd. Anyhow, there was this rambunctious boy who wanted to be the first off the bus upon getting back home. About every time I wanted first off the bus as well. One day the boy upped and punched my face, just to be first off the bus that day. And the punch was so hard he literally knocked my glasses off of me. The glasses did not get broken, but I was really hurt and upset. I walked and cried as I walked home from the bus stop that day. I told my parents about it. They contacted the school, and I ended up with the bad end of the deal. The boy got off scot-free, while with being a high-functioning autistic, got demoted to riding on a handicapped bus for the rest of my high school years. Ugh, it gets worse, as I ended up with this really worse-off mentally challenged person who could hardly ever speak other than, That boy bopped me on the back of the head for his own laughs. The special ed teacher who rode on the bus talked with his brother about it, and he kept him from bopping me, but having to put up with his nonsensical slurred talk was still just as cringy and horrifying. Ugh. Two things about stuff like this, are also immediately obvious when it comes to Chris. First of all, even if we are to believe that that was true and that Chris was 100% the victim, this is also a thing that's very, very common with Chris's stories, is that they are very, very one-sided and they are very, very hard to believe. Second, I know it's been mentioned already, but Chris doesn't really seem to have much empathy for kids who are who require extra attention and who are probably in a far worse condition than Chris even could ever hope to be. Not that I would, not that's the sort of thing you should ever, like, I told you guys this story before, right, that About 6 years ago, when I was going to work at the Baldwin Colliery, I was working for the Royal Mail during the time. I was coming across the River Tyne on the metro, and this black kid, I think he was about 16 at the time, and he had to have 3 caretakers with him, and he was all on these sorts of these reins, and he had like clothes pegs in his hair. But the thing was is that he was just smiling from ear to ear, and he was just looking around at what sort of a fascinating world that being on the metro probably is. And he wasn't harming anybody, anything like that. But you know what? Maybe he was absolutely, happy and just sort of content with the knowledge that he is just perfectly in his own world. And you know what? Fair play to him. It's not like people like that don't intentionally actually hurt people like that. Not because they may or may not have the capacity to understand exactly what's going on, but he was just a kid, you know what I mean? It's, you know what? It's just one of those things, eh? It stuck by me. It stands by me with all like that because you know what? He seemed contented and happy, and I don't think he was wanting to do anything to disrupt the chemistry, if you will. And neither were the 3 caretakers who were supervising him, I want to say. Meanwhile, Chris likes a fan's statue and confirms his existence. In response to a fan posting a 3D printed Sonichu statue in our Chris Chan Sonichu. Totes awesome. Listen, I want you to email me at christina@quickfill.us so I can hire you to be my main figure maker for Sonichu, Rosechu, myself, and so forth. As long as you can paint the figures as well. A user expresses his surprise at his presence. What the F? Is this Chris Chan for real? Chris confirmed. Yep. Needless to say, nothing really came of this little ordeal. At least I don't think there was. One day after posting the statue, the same user would express his interest in sending it to Chris. 2 weeks later, Chris would reply, "Yes, please." Wow, how about look at that, guys? Chris actually using manners. You don't see that too often. Magi-chan appears. Delusion disclosure. This article or section takes place during Chris's phase of role-playing as Magi-chan. He may refer to Christine Chandler, personality and physical body in the third person by using terms such as wife. During his phase of role-playing as Magi-chan, Chris commented on Jacob Sockness's post on him offering a blood sacrifice in our Cult of Quick 6 days earlier. You did not as much summon Christine as much as I, Magi-chan Sonichu, present in her body. A day later, in the same thread, Chris would explain the reasoning behind the merge. The dimensional merge was not even evoked by myself, but evoked by necessity and mutual wishes for all intelligent and mentally able inhabitants between both dimensions. Well, that leaves you shit out of luck then, doesn't it, Chris? A mutual desire between creators/artists and fans, and their respective and favourite OCs that are existence in the same situations and circumstances of the same timeline between the two. For example, Stan Lee wished to hang out and work with his Marvel creations, and Tony Stark and the others have been most wanting to with him. And even the fan artists/creators, including those in the Brony analyst community, have wished to be with their OCs, like Amy Mevin, with Mary Sue, and Maddie, though she will be ending up meeting Christine's Gary Stu as well. Since he and Mary have been together now, finally have their one child. As well as most everyone, Christ almighty, who wrote this, around the Earth and throughout the galaxies beyond in this dimension 1218 and the same in C197. Many a mythical being such as unicorns and dragons that were real back in the early AD years and Castle Ages, who all did exist. Sorry, I need to do that again. and Castle Ages, who all did exist in 1218, were banished to the other side of the dimensional curtain into C197, and many a similar figure, even deity type, fell into that dimension as well, but always kept watch over both Earths, and over the centuries, many an OC continued to be created and discovered by the creators, artists, authors, and chroniclers of 1218, and they all wished they could see, meet, and or hang out with the OCs once again, or for the first time. Do you like the fact that I'm making my voice sound extra patronizing? I think that's on par, really, when you think about it. This plan had been retroactive and in planning and processing for about a millennia or so by the deities, including Fate and Destiny. They all have been collaborating in this as well, especially to work against the likes of Jacoba, the fiendish demon who stole a godly title, among others who wield such great power. The merge is happening from a series of events that not only involve the deities, including Christine, but also many a physical powerful sorcerer, magical and ritualistic individual who have been so in their retrospective and respective fated methods and ways, all of this including their descendants. The events have been happening, and Christine, with my personal help, is working hard and doing her best to gather energy to beat her abilities and power, so she can do better with the others on the other side of the curtain to be able to complete the events that, in part, take down the dimensional curtain, but also merge our two dimensions and pairs of worlds together. A fan asked if Chris would turn water into wine. Magi-chan answered, Christine can do a lot more than that, but to answer your question, no, not fully doable on the 1218 side of the dimensional curtain yet. She is able to draw up a water to wine conversion and vice versa. Another fan asked a question which was later deleted. Magi-chan replied, Yes, I have access to everything in her brain. To me, a body is a body, but hers is quite the beautiful and special body. Indeed. Multidimensional White Knight said, Dorian is heading to Florida in 1218. That looks up to be the first sign. All hail the CPU goddess and her husband Magi-chan. No. Magi-chan replied, Very observant and perceptive of you. Very good job. Here is a gold star for you as well. Hurricanes, yeah, they're brilliant, aren't they? Because you think, oh no, I'm going to die in a hurricane. Yeah, but you get to say you died in a hurricane, which is brilliant. Isn't the dimensional merge brilliant? Because it means you get to meet all your fictional characters, even the bad ones. But you know what? Bad characters aren't bad, because bad characters are also brilliant, because you never know what they're really like. Maybe the sort of people who are misunderstood. Aren't people misunderstood brilliant? Adolf Hitler. Yeah. I think I've stretched that joke. I've made one really dark joke so far in this video. I think two is really stretching it. Anyway, Pokemon Friend Code. In response to the post, whatever, I don't care. DMs. Lottery question. Is that someone's burglar alarm going off? Oh, well, maybe Magi-chan will strike them dead or something, I don't know. DMs. Lottery question. According to Kiwi Farms user Pickle Inspector, he had reached out to Chris, who was role-playing as Magi-chan at the time, and asked him why Magi-chan doesn't just give Chris the lottery numbers if they're so desperate for money all the time. Chris answered, Yes, I could, but my actions would go into further deity-level judgment and consideration in respect to the present stream of events and the future outcomes. Such fortuitous blessings are indeed fated. Should I attempt a personal gain callously, it is likely in my foreseeing attempt at the number would yield blah blah blah. Okay, let's just, can we, later Chris would follow up, I will also admit Chris never really had a solid basis for business management over the years. No shot, of course he didn't. Okay, so blah blah blah, Chris is an idiot and you can't really justify it because we know Chris is talking out of his ass. There you are, sorted. R. Chris Chan Sonichu. Created on the 17th of June 2014, is the most popular Chris-related subreddit on Reddit with over 77,000 members. It has become the primary place for posting post-jail sightings of Chris, mostly with Flutter, along with discoveries of online activity. Many of their members have been responsible for discovering more information regarding the post-jail sightings. The top posts on the subreddit consist of reactions during the incest fallout, a time where Chris Chan went mainstream, but for all the wrong reasons. Chris's only known posts to the subreddit were in September of 2018, when he asked a fan artist to collaborate with him. Helena Forenza dislikes the subreddit, describing it as hellish and horrifying in a February 2024 tweet chain with Chris. You know, me and Helena were supposed to actually have tried working on a comic, but it kind of just, plans sort of fell through. So, speaking about falling through, well, there we are. Chris, despite how little actually Chris uses Reddit, he is kind of the atypical subreddit user, figuratively and literally. And with all that being said, I'll see all of you guys again next time. Ta-ra a bit then.